Here on the other side of the world from the Middle East, in a blessed, peaceful, prosperous and free country, Australian politics and society is being fractured because of events in and around Israel and Gaza. The barbaric atrocities of Hamas, a bloodthirsty Islamist extremist terrorist group, are having exactly the impact their leaders and backers had hoped. You only had to see the disgraceful protest at Parliament House in Canberra today, the River to the Sea slogan calling for the annihilation of Israel, the upturned triangle, a Hamas targeting symbol, and the meaningless gibberish of the protesters who oppose everything about Israel and, tellingly, everything about Australia too.
The Albanese Labor government's persistent support for this genocidal settler colonial state comes as no surprise. Australia is a nation founded upon genocide. We will not forgive and we will continue to resist. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free!
These people are anarchists and idiots, sure, but they're joining a global protest that's having an impact. Labor lost a senator today because even the ALP's shrinking support for Israel and soft approach to Palestinian extremists wasn't enough for her. Fatima Payman fled a brutal Islamist regime in Afghanistan to come to Australia. Labor put her into the Senate and now she's quit Labor.
My family did not flee from a war-torn country to come here as refugees. For me to remain silent when I see atrocities inflicted on innocent people. Witnessing our government's indifference to the greatest injustice of our times makes me question the direction the party is taking.
Yeah, sure, Payman fled Islamist extremists in Afghanistan. Good on her. But now her actions give succor to the Islamist terrorists of Hamas in Gaza. Too many people are taking the propaganda at face value here. They want to see this as a struggle between the oppressed and the oppressor, or resistance against a colonising power. This is just simplistic and wrong. Senator Lydia Thorpe even turned up at Parliament House's midwinter ball last night, emblazoned with the Hamas slogan calling for the elimination of Israel. What a party trick, eh? When you use the events of the past 9 months to push the cause of Palestinian statehood, you are rewarding the sickening bloodlust of the Hamas terrorists. When Hamas invaded Israel on October the 7th, slaughtering more than 1,200 people, men, women and children, babies and children, think about that. When they massacred nearly 400 young people at a music festival, raped and mutilated young girls and took 250 hostages, about half of them since killed, maybe more. When Hamas did this, killing more Jews in a day than in any terrorist act since the Holocaust, they weren't fighting for a Palestinian homeland. They weren't fighting for a two-state solution. They were fulfilling an Islamist extremist goal of killing Jews, and their masters were intent on causing political chaos. So this attack was designed to terrorise Israel and draw Israel into a war, ensuring that Palestinians are caught up and killed in that war, and maximise that trauma to generate sympathy for the Palestinian cause and turn the tables of world opinion against Israel. We've seen it time and time again. And thanks to the useful idiots in the United Nations and in Europe and in politics and academia, and thanks to the useful idiots like the ones we saw at Parliament House today, Hamas has got exactly what they wanted. In Parliament today, the Prime Minister addressed the protest, but not the issue.
Peaceful protest has an important place in our society, but this was not a peaceful protest. These actions have done absolutely nothing to advance any cause. Indeed, they have hurt the cause that those engaged in this reckless activity believe they are advancing.
The opposition leader Peter Dutton took on the security lapse and the intolerable message.
We need to understand the gravity of the situation, because these images will be beamed around the world, as they were when we saw those disgraceful, repugnant behaviours on the steps of the Sydney Opera House on October 9. and we need to send a very clear message that it is completely and utterly unacceptable in our society, in our democracy, that we would see those messages hanging from the front of this parliament. They are anti-Semitic. River to the Sea is a statement about wiping out, eliminating a race of people. Let's be very clear about it. And there's been a lot of debate in this place about how that might work and whether those words have a different form of meaning or perhaps they can be justified in some way or other. They can't be, and they never will be.
Yeah, now that's conviction politics. This unfolded today after revelations that the Albanese government called in the Israeli ambassador last month and warned Israel not to go to war with Hezbollah. This is just incredible. Over the past few months, more than 5,000 rockets have been fired by Hezbollah into Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, firing them into Israel's north, while Israel has been at war, of course, with Hamas in its south. Up to 60,000 Israelis have had to evacuate their homes in northern Israel to get their families out of harm's way from the Hezbollah attacks. So with Israel under fire simultaneously from Hamas, from Hezbollah and from Iran's drones, Australia warns Israel not to defend itself. This is wrong. This is warped. A strong and fair country like Australia shouldn't do this. You know who'd be happy with this approach? Yeah, Hamas. Just what they're aiming to generate. They've slaughtered innocent Israelis and they continue to target them, yet they convince activists and politicians that Israel is the problem. We need leaders who deal in truth and reality, and we need strong responses that are fair and just. We're not seeing that from the Albanese Labor government.